Hello everyone, I'm the storyteller and welcome to Veil of Shadows. Before you drift off, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Tell me, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? Now, get comfortable, relax, and let the story begin.
The lake was still, so the pane of glass laid across the earth, reflecting the bruised colors of the evening sky. I stood at the water's edge, the damp soil soft beneath my boots, and felt the silence pressing in around me. Not a bird, not a ripple, not even the faintest breeze. It should have been beautiful, one of those postcard scenes that hikers stop to photograph. But something about the lake made my stomach tighten. The air was too heavy, too thick, as if it hadn't moved in centuries. I'd only come here because I was lost. The trail had vanished behind me hours ago. My map was useless, my compass spinning wildly as if the needle were drunk. By the time I stumbled onto the shoreline, my legs aching and my throat raw from thirst, I'd been ready to collapse. But the lake offered no comfort. A handful of water and hesitated. It was crystal clear, unnaturally so, but something in the reflection made me pause. My own face stared back, except the eyes. They weren't mine. They were too dark, too wide, and they blinked a half-second later than I did. I jerked my hand back, the water spilling through my fingers. Identification smiled. My breath caught. I scrambled away from the shore, but the water's surface didn't break, didn't ripple, didn't distort. My reflection leaned forward, closer to me, though I hadn't moved. Its smile stretched wider, revealing teeth too sharp, too many. I ran. I don't even remember choosing a direction, only that I needed to get away from the lake. But every path led me back. I'd burst through the tree line, branches tearing at my arms, and there it would be again, the same still water, waiting. The sky darkened. The colors bled away until only blackness remained overhead. No stars, no moon, just me and the lake. I tried not to look, but it was impossible. The water pulled my gaze back every time, and every time the reflection grew closer. First at the water's edge, then standing where I stood, then leaning out of the surface, its hand pressing against the glassy skin of the lake as if
Anymore, it said. You belong here, with me, with us.
Behind it, the lake rippled again. Dozens of faces pressed against the surface. My face, over and over, each one grinning, each one whispering soundless words. Their eyes glowed like embers in the dark water. I shook my head violently. This isn't real. I'm dreaming. I'm magistrate. The thing lunged. Its hand closed around my wrist, ice cold, impossibly strong. And in that moment, I saw everything. Memories that weren't mine flooding into my head. People who had stood at this same shore long before me. Hikers, campers, travelers, all lured here, all taken. Their reflections trapped in the water, waiting for the next to arrive. The faces in the lake pressed harder against the surface, their mouths opening in unison. No sound emerged, but I felt the words reverberating in my chest. Join us. I fought, pulling with everything I had, but the thing didn't budge. Its grin widened as it dragged me closer to the water's edge. My boots dug into the soil, leaving furrows as I was pulled toward the black mirror of the lake. They were clearer now, countless versions of me staring back. Some were terrified, some were weeping, but most were smiling. No, I screamed, but my voice sounded thin, weak, already muffled as if underwater. The thing yanked once, hard. I pitched forward, my reflection's grip never loosening. The surface of the lake met me like glass, cold, unyielding, then shattered, pounding. The world went dark. Silence. For a moment, silence. Then I opened my eyes. I was standing at the lake's edge again. The water was still, perfect. My reflection stared back, smiling. And when I raised my hand to touch my face, the reflection didn't move. The train rattled along the tracks, the wheels grinding with a metallic shriek every time it lurched into a curve. I sat pressed against the cool glass of the window, my reflection staring back at me in the dim interior light. Behind the glass, the world whipped past in blurred streaks of gray and black. Forest, field, tunnel, then forest again, all dissolving into one endless smear of motion. It had been hours, at least it felt like hours, since I'd boarded. Yet the train never seemed to slow, never stopped, never even announced the next station. I checked my watch again. The hands ticked steadily forward, but the minutes didn't make sense. I'd boarded just after sunset, yet outside, the darkness hadn't shifted. No stars overhead, no moon. Just a smear of blackness, as if the train were cutting through an endless void. At first, I'd assumed I'd boarded a late-night express, maybe one of those strange, long-haul lines with limited stops. But the carriage was almost empty. A man in a trench coat sat 3 rows down, his hat pulled low over his face, motionless. Further back, a woman cradled something swaddled in fabric, rocking back and forth without sound. No one else. No chatter, no coughs, no shuffle of footsteps in the aisle. Just the grinding of wheels, the mechanical heartbeat of the train. I stood and walked down the aisle, my footsteps echoing too loudly in the silence. I expected to pass more passengers as I moved through the carriages, but every door I slid open revealed the same sight. Empty rows, dim lighting, reflections of my own face warped in the darkened windows. Carriage after carriage, no staff, no conductor, no food cart. When I finally turned back, intending to return to my seat, my stomach lurched. The way back wasn't the same. The seats were different colors now, richer, older, upholstered in worn red velvet instead of the dull gray plastic I remembered. Gas lamps flickered on the walls instead of fluorescents. My reflection in the glass wavered like a painting. I hurried back, opening the door to the next carriage, only to find myself stepping into a completely different era again. Wooden benches, brass fittings, the faint smell of coal smoke. Passengers this time.
I tore my gaze away and pushed into the next carriage.
This one was empty again. Modern seats, fluorescent lights. My heart hammered. I doubled back, but the carriage I'd just come from was gone, replaced by yet another stretch of gray seats, the same as the one I'd started in. I was trapped in a loop. I tried the emergency cord, pulled it hard. Nothing. The cord dangled uselessly in my hand, the train never slowing, never acknowledging my effort. Panic rising, I shoved open the end door and stepped out onto the metal coupling between cars. Wind tore at me, a soundless wind. No rush of air, no roar, just pressure that pressed into my ears and made me dizzy. I leaned over the edge. There was no track beneath us, no gravel, no ground at all. Just endless blackness, stretching in every direction. I staggered back inside. The man in the trench coat was gone, the woman and her swaddled bundle gone too. Only me and the sound of the wheels grinding against nothing. I forced myself to walk again, carriage after carriage, sometimes modern, sometimes ancient, sometimes filled with people who didn't move, sometimes empty, sometimes filled with things I don't want to name. Shapes hunched over, whispering in languages I couldn't understand, their eyes glinting like coins in the dark. At one point I stepped into a carriage that wasn't a carriage at all, but a tunnel. Brick walls curved around me, dripping with moisture, yet the train still rattled beneath my feet. The lights flickered, and I saw shadows on the walls that didn't belong to me. Finally, exhausted, I sank into a seat. It didn't matter anymore where I was. It didn't matter which version of the train I was in. They were all the same in the end. That's when the loudspeaker crackled overhead. For the first time since I'd boarded, a voice filled the air. "Next stop," it said, distorted, almost mechanical. "End of the line." Relief surged through me, sharp and sudden. At last it was stopping. At last this nightmare was ending. Crimson slowed. The grinding softened to a hiss. Outside, lights flickered past, bright shapes in the dark. A platform